Now, a year ago in Iran, there was violence, but there was growing belief, too, that the repressive regime could eventually be overthrown. But far from bringing change, we have harrowing accounts tonight of the authorities digging in and cracking down hard. Protesters, many of them women, have been killed, tortured, raped and blinded in what Amnesty International has called a year of unspeakable cruelty. The people had risen up after the death in the custody of the morality police of a young woman. Mahsa Amini had been arrested last September for not wearing her Islamic headscarf properly. Police blamed her death on a heart attack. Her family said she was beaten. The wave of protests for upholding women's rights that were triggered by Mahsa's death quickly spread across Iran and around the world. They were met with that brutal crackdown by the regime that has continued unabated for a year, as its victims, who have fled the country in fear, have been telling us.
3-year-old Joanne looks to her mother for security and reassurance. Under cover of darkness, the little girl was smuggled out of Iran 5 months ago, drugged to keep her quiet on the journey to safety with her mum.
The regime is destroying the future of our children. When Mahsa was killed, I thought that could be me, that could be Joanne. Everything I do is for my daughter. That gives me a power to carry on.
Seema was shot at point-blank range by government forces in the protests after Mahsa Amini's death. There are 200 metal pellets still in her arm.
I've never seen a regime in history behave like the Islamic Republic. I witnessed them killing and shooting their own unarmed people. It is criminal. All we want is a normal life. It's our right.
Kurdistan, northern Iraq, is their haven to start over. As Iranian Kurdish women like Mahsa Zhina Amini, here they can feel freer.
I'm 22. For young people in Iran, we can only do what the government orders, not what we want or feel. That is no life.
But the realities of this battlefield are clear. Paria, her sister Diana and her mother have since joined the Iranian opposition group Kamala.
I feel stronger, safer, more powerful. I now know how to use a weapon to defend myself. I am ready to defend anyone.
Nasim and Paria are both trained fighters, both with the same beliefs.
After Gina was killed, there was an explosion of anger. The regime was in shock. They realised they no longer had the loyalty of the people. Removing the hijab showed that they would no longer do what the regime told them to. That feeling has not gone away. It will not stop, and we will win.
Kamala, this group of Kurdish fighters, has existed since 1969, but an increasing number of women have wanted to join since the uprising began. We went to their headquarters.
I think it's more than 100 women that came to Kamala.
Korsor leads the women's unit, a woman who has fought against ISIS.
As a woman, I can fight. This is the time, this is the situation, this is the battle. So I'm a Peshmerga. Yeah, I can do it. Women themselves are a big enemy of the Iranian regime. So if they can control women, they can control the societies.
With their hair loose and uncovered inside Iran this week, defiance and disdain for the government walk the streets. The woman, life, freedom movement, now a quiet revolution, but still a bold one.
There isn't the revolutionary atmosphere anymore, but there has been a fundamental shift in the mindset of Iranians.
Majid Tavakoli is a husband and father, but also a famous Iranian dissident, living under constant intimidation and restriction in Tehran. He spent 7 years of his life in prison for speaking out. In the next few days, he'll be jailed for another 5.
I cannot think about how hard it's going to be for my family, but I have done what I think is right. I want my daughter to grow up in Iran, but not in these conditions. Just to be a normal country where people have a normal life is what I aspire to.
These are the last moments he has with his daughter Raha. Her name means freedom. But an inability to live beyond these barriers under the Islamic Republic's controls has forced other families to sacrifice all they know. By crossing these borders, mothers have chosen exile for the sake of their daughters. Others have risked their lives to get to Iraq. And this anniversary renews that sense of collective trauma and grief and carries with it the potential for unrest again. 12 months on, the face of Iran is still the same. For whole-scale democratic change, its people must hone their patience. Lucy Watson, News at 10, Northern Iraq.
And Lucy joins us from Erbil now. And Lucy, you've been reporting on the brutality of what's been unfolding in Iran over this past year. This anniversary feels like another really dangerous moment.
It does, Julie. A year ago, protesters felt so unable to live in their own country anymore that it sparked a willingness to die for the cause in bringing about the downfall of the regime. That will has not just evaporated, but there were several reasons why it wasn't a success, and that wasn't just because of the brutal government crackdown. Yes, protesters had young, incredibly brave women on their side. They had a martyr in Mahsa Amini, but what they lack is a leader or an organisation with stature that people can trust to offer a real political alternative. Now, in recent months, the Islamic Republic has doubled down on its hijab laws. The morality police are back on the streets. And in recent days, President Raisi has talked and referred to this anniversary and said that it was Europe and the US who incited and provoked the protests. And if anyone creates instability, as he called it, leading up to Mahsa Amini died, then they will know what will happen to them. It was an ominous warning, but any uprising is a hammer pounding the grip on power that the regime has. And as far as I can see, the people are just waiting for their next opportunity, unbowed.
And the incredible bravery of those women goes on. Thank you very much indeed, Lucy, for that. Thank you.